Living by Design is brought to you by Pipers at the Murat, providing the finest of quality in all their catered events. Along with their exquisite food choices and wine selections, they have 4 beautiful venue spaces to bring your vision to life. Whether a stunning wedding, corporate conference, anniversary, or family celebration, their design teams in each area of venue repertoire will create an event to remember for all your guests. Pipers at the Murat, premier catering, impressive venue, exceptional service. Living by Design with host Kathy Holloway Hill. Kathy is a strong, powerful voice. She entertains, informs, and inspires her audiences everywhere she goes.
Hi, I'm Kathy Holloway Hill, and welcome to Living by Design. I am so excited about today's show. Every single one of you would love to win the lottery and have a lot of money, right? But there is one thing that your money cannot buy, and it's actually the most desired gift and blessing that you could have in your life, and that's love. And today, we are going to talk about love and relationships. And I have an expert panel, mature, wise, life experience, and they're going to share that with us today so that you can have the type of relationship that you desire. So what we're going to do first, starting off, is I'm going to allow the panel to introduce themselves. They're going to give their name, and if you want to give your relationship status, I'll leave that up to you. And then we're going to start the questions. So we'll start on this end.
My name is Adrienne Young, and I am married going on 11 years, April 11.
I am Kathy Parson.
Hi, I am Nicole Hatfield, and I'm single.
Hello, I'm Carla Jackson, and I'm single.
Hello, my name is Gregory M. Martin, Sr., and I'm single.
Hi, I'm Paul Jefferson, the father of 3 kids and single.
Hello, I'm Andre DeBeast Creighton, and I'm involved.
Hello, my name is Ken Marlowe, and I'm married, and I have 3 children.
One of the things I did want to mention before we begin the questioning is, as you can see, we have an equal amount of males versus females. Because as you know, there are different perspectives from males versus females. So we want to get the whole sauce, everything from both perspectives. So I want to start the questioning off with whoever wants to be the first to answer. Do you believe it's difficult to find a good compatible mate? And if so, why?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Carla.
Go as far as with my experiences, because communication. People are playing so many games nowadays. Well, they've always really done it, but you just see it more and more. There's no communication. People don't know how to be honest. So it kind of makes it hard for you to want to even get involved with anybody.
Yeah, they kind of show you their representative.
Yes.
Not who they really are. Yeah, and they play games.
A lot. Doesn't make a difference what the age is. I've dated people younger than me, older than me, same age as me, and have learned they all play games.
Yes. Yep. Excellent. Anyone else?
I would like to chime in on what she said. That is so true. But there is an essence that God places in us that will allow us to sift through the game, the muck and the mire, if we take the time to balance and be patient in the beginning of the relationship, where He will allow us to see deeper into the individual that we are involved with or in the process of getting involved in. If we take our time, He will allow us to see truth.
Yeah, so we first have to know what we want before we can find it.
I would concur with that, absolutely. If you know yourself, and you know what you stand for, what are your core values, and what's important to you, when you confront something that's not on the same level in terms of your core values, it could be something as simple as I'm in a relationship and what's the most important thing in your relationship, right? And sometimes people may not tell you the truth to get kind of...
And back to what Carla said. So how do you sift through that? I mean, yeah, how does she know that they're not bringing their representative? You're saying all the right things that she wants to hear. Yes. They're reading her.
I think a big thing is patience, right? So you can't rush into the relationship, right? So it's going to take a little time for you to learn someone else's behaviors or what their real core values are. So they may tell you something that is in line with your core values, but if you're a little patient, there's nothing wrong with dating or courting, as my grandmother used to say. And so you take it a little further, and you will see the stripes of that leopard, right? Or the swipes of that leopard.
I think one thing that I have learned throughout my adult life dating, you can know somebody 15, 20 years and still never know everything about them.
That's true.
So how long are you supposed to be patient?
But I don't think you're going to ever know or should pursue to know everything about a person. I think, to me, what I find interesting is that the more intimate I become with God, the more God allows me to see
things clearly.
Yeah. I think a lot of times what happens with people is that they're so for a relationship outside of themselves that they cannot really take the time to see what's in them first. You know, and to answer what I can't remember who said it, is that you're never gonna know everything about a person. And sometimes you're gonna get hurt. And I think going into relationships, you have to understand you will get hurt, but what are you gonna do when the hurt comes?
And I like to also think about relationships, about mindset. You know, I'm a firm believer what you put out in the universe is what you get back. And not to pick on anyone, but sometimes we set up our own selves. You know, we have the doubt. We think they're going to cheat on us. We think they're going to be liars. We think they're not the right fit. It's almost like what we sense, we give off, and then we receive it. So I have learned to speak things into existence. And whether people tell me I'm crazy, I tell them normal is so 2015. Last time I checked, we're in 2020. So I'm okay with pushing the envelope, but I'm going to first look at that person and say to myself, I can see that person being my spouse. I believe this relationship will work, even if the enemy tells you differently. Because we always have that inner voice between our ears telling us differently. But if we counteract that with positivity, that this will work, this can work, I believe the outcome is more promising than not.
I love that. And with that, we are going to stop for a second and take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Living by Design. So we're going to just continue with our panel discussion. I am enjoying myself. I hope you are too, and I hope you're learning a lot. So the next question I want to ask the panelists, nobody's perfect. And we know there are going to be challenges in relationships. So with that being said, what do you believe are the biggest challenges in relationships, and how can you manage those challenges? Yeah, Andre.
Expectations. I think when you're dealing with relationships, when it comes to men and women, I think women set the bar so high that the realistics, when it doesn't become realistic to them, they freak out. Instead of really going into getting back to the first question, getting to know the individual and really trying to develop a friendship, and from that friendship get to know them instead of just going, well, I want the man to be 6 feet tall and yada yada yada, and then when the things don't happen, they really don't know how to deprogram.
So you're saying for the female, don't set false expectations that, okay, all right.
Our struggles define our life, and our struggles define our relationships, and challenges are sacred opportunities to show someone you love and care for them. So frankly, in relationships, I welcome them. That's where the rubber kind of hits the road, right?
And Kathy, I would say communication is a big one, and really understanding people's language, love language, and then just the communication, the tone that you use, the words that you say, and timing. is a big one, because sometimes it's just not the right time to discuss, a certain situation. So timing, bringing it up, and definitely not doing it when your emotions are all over the place. Me personally, when I'm angry, I don't talk, because there, you can't take, once you put those words out there, you cannot take them back. So I'm really, real big about that.
You'll learn a lot in silence. A lot. God has always said, go where you can hear me. True. And when all is blowing up in front of you, in order to settle things, even in the confrontation of a storm, if you will allow her to vent, God will allow you to hear her pain and suffering. Hear what she's saying exactly in the silence. If you would just be quiet and listen without having an opinion about what she's doing or saying, because she's conveying that part of her that is hurt deep down inside. As men, we tend to not want to hear that, but that's why the relationship is doomed, because we do not give them the opportunity to vent. And it doesn't have to be a negative when they vent. It's just sometimes the frustration. We make a lot of things that frustrate us a problem when it's not really a problem.
Well, I kind of have a question for the guys as a woman, because I'm married and my husband is absolutely incredible, has the patience of Job. And sometimes if I ask, like, why didn't you do a certain thing? Sometimes he may see it as criticism. So what is it about how a woman says, and I didn't say it, like Kathy said, I watched my tone, and I might just ask, and he'll think I'm criticizing him. So what's up with that, guys?
I'm not sure if it's maybe how you say it or how you deliver it. There's a biblical principle that says that we will be justified or condemned by our words. But if you have a person of patience, you have a spouse of patience who can listen and hear you, right? So you may say something, for example, my wife says this all the time. So I can say this to my wife. Today's meal was subpar. The chicken was this, the vegetables was that, and she will turn around and she will tell me, you know what, I appreciate the feedback. It sounds negative, but the next time I fix you a meal, it won't be like it is today.
Exactly.
But I want to just mention something Kathy was mentioning about communications. I think what's equally important as communication is understanding. Because yes, tone, how you say things, not what you say, but how you say things, that's important, but understanding, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can deliver something as sweet as pie, but it's falling on ears that refuses to understand, nothing you says matters. But I will tell you, prior to getting married, my pastor would not allow us to get married until we did what the Catholics will call pre-Cana or premarital counseling. And it was actually eye-opening. I learned that I am the amplifier. I'm naturally loud, but I learned that my husband is the condenser. He's soft-spoken. He's not going to argue with me. That's just not in his DNA. So getting back to, while communication is pivotal in any relationship, understanding is equally important, if not maybe higher on the hierarchy, if you ask me, because most men aren't going to argue or communicate with you as a woman would like, right? We like things to be detailed, specific, factual, whereas a man might just say, okay, got it. And we're still like, what do you mean got it? Why are you just saying okay? Like, we want more, right? So I have learned, at least we're working with my husband, that he's never going to be the amplifier. But I have to understand that and respect it, and that makes the relationship work. I know when I'm going too hard, and he knows when he needs to step it up, but it's respecting each other. But I think understanding how people operate helps in effective communication.
That's a good point, because, and I don't want to say it's a guy thing, because I really hate to stereotype like that, but I think guys want to be seen by their significant other spouse as, a accomplishing great things and doing great things and making her happy and all these wonderful things, and men are just driven by their accomplishments. So if I say, why didn't you do XYZ? Could he be taking that as, okay, I'm not pleasing her? And
men like to be validated too. I mean, there's really a small margin between what women want and what men want. Now, I like what she said because I'm an amplifier. So, you know, when I talk, it doesn't mean that I'm yelling. That's just me. But what she said was real crucial. In a relationship, you need to know your significant other. My voice is never going to be, oh wow, you know, I can do it, but it's just not me. Does that mean that I don't care with my tone of voice? No, it just means I'm an amplifier, and I never heard it used like this. So now it's like I'm an amplifier. I like the new one.
You know, that is good, but you may know beforehand, you may not even want to amplify. Right? I mean, you may know when you get into a relationship that if the person is an amplifier and you don't really value amplifiers.
Yeah.
Very true.
True.
I think it's very, very true. I mean, once you kind of know what you're dealing with, at that point you know if you're going to continue to develop the relationship. Are you going to be honest with yourself and not waste someone's time? I think people don't value honesty, so we put on the facade, we try to give subliminal messages, but I just say be honest. You know, honesty is the best policy. They say the truth will set you free, but I think recognizing what you bring to the table can make something work. You know, and then of course, you know, you give everything to God. What's impossible with man is possible with God. So even the impossible is possible if you bring your differences with honesty and transparency.
And we're going to pick back up with that. We're going to take another quick break, and we're going to keep this conversation going because, as you can see, it is hot. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back. We are going to just keep right on going because I am getting so much information here today. So, it's been said that we need to be ready to receive. So, how do you believe you can prepare yourself to be a great partner?
Believing that you are already a great partner. I'm telling you, mindset is everything. What you project is what you get. If you project, I am a great partner, you're only going to compliment me, not complete me. You naturally will receive that. But if you feel like you're not worthy, it will never happen. When is it supposed to happen? If it was going to happen, it should have happened now. That's what you're projecting. You know, so we have to be very careful that we don't allow the enemy to infiltrate in our spirits, which then leads to us projecting what we keep on receiving that we don't want to receive. We have to believe it.
And I like that, Adrian, because, you know, no matter how old you are, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age, and we're a mature audience with a lot of wisdom at this panel, we've had a lot of things, experiences in our lives up to this point. So when we enter a relationship, we bring all that baggage with us. So we have to think about, okay, what have I been through? What am I still carrying? And what do I need to let go of? So we've got to make the best of who we are. Amen. And let go of all that junk and that hurt and rejection and misery and bitterness and anger and
But don't be afraid of the projection. Right. That's where a lot of men are they'll say intimidation. Yes. But if you are open and grounded with your father, right, then whatever she spews or emits, God will allow you to receive it with a positive eye.
Mm-hmm. If a woman is still carrying a lot of the baggage from her past because she has been through, you never know, abuse and all kinds of toxic relationships and people that have tore her down, is it okay, or how do men, or even should men, help her.
Yes, he should. That's his job.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be for her to be his mate. What he does at the end of the day, he has now acquired a no good friend. But don't back away from her because you feel like if you can give her something from the cosmic that God has spread in the world, then offer it.
And I believe God will send you somebody that can help heal certain areas of your life. So
Definitely.
if you've been with the cheater, God can send you someone who is faithful. You know, if you've been with someone who's been lying and manipulating you, God will send you someone who will cover you in that way and not be a liar and manipulator. So I believe partners can heal areas of your life where you have been broken just through love.
Andre, what's your thoughts on that? I'm just curious. Do you believe that you should help the female, or is it her responsibility to get that straight on her own?
Well, I have a little girl, and I think when you're a father and you have a little girl, you begin to see yourself in a different role. And I want my daughter to see me as a man, but first I want her to know that she can come to me. So I try to bring that same concept into a relationship. I want to listen to you. I don't want to always be the one to give the advice. I want to know what you're thinking, what you're doing.
Exactly.
I want you to first teach you how to reprogram your ways of thinking. You know, what happened in the past is the past. It's time to move forward. I'm going to be your rock, your salvation. And men need to really understand how to listen. And I think that's the key is to listen.
Be able to listen.
I think a lot of men get it wrong, and they don't recognize the power of being vulnerable. And and that's where you take the lead, and if you're vulnerable first and make it a safe place, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, it can be anyone, a friendship or whatever. But if you don't take that step, if somebody doesn't take that leap, then it's not a real relationship.
Okay, and just, real quick, ladies, what is your take on the opposite side? If you meet a guy that has been rejected and, is bitter from his ex, and, his ex is not letting him see his kids and those types of things, do you think you should help him, Carla?
Of course. I'm going to be understanding. I'm going to try to encourage you to talk. If you feel comfortable doing that about whatever it is, I'm there for you, 100%.
Excellent. Excellent. I cannot believe how fast this has gone. I'm just absolutely, I'm just dumbfounded, but it has been magnificent. So what I'd like to do right now is I just want everyone, I'm going to go start down at that end with Ken, and, just like 30 seconds, a real quick hit of what do you want to leave with the audience, your advice on relationships, how to have a good relationship, whatever you want to say about relationships. What is your final advice, your final words?
Well, my final words would be, it just reminds me when I was a young boy trying to twist my sister's hair, and it would always come loose because I had to do her hair because my mother had gone to work, and I realized that I needed a third braid. And that third braid really has to be God. So if you're in a relationship, you can twist it up together with two people, but the twisting will come loose. And so if you don't have God in the middle of it as your braid, as the connector, then it's all doomed anyway.
God first and patience. Relationships take time, and it takes patience, and it takes understanding. And that's pretty much how I like to end it.
I met someone about 6 months ago who taught me that love is enough. It's not all the things that you do and all the ways that you make people feel. It's what you actually feel and how you actually relate. And connecting in that place is the most amazing thing I've experienced, and something I hope to take to every relationship I have.
God gives every person the opportunity because their temple is their temple. And that He builds it to endure any storm that would come your way. If you are grounded with the Father, you can endure any and everything regardless, because it is that possibility that God has that makes the impossible possible. So, patience. Just be patient. There's no rush. No rush. Take care of your house.
I'm going to reiterate what they've all been saying. You have to have God first. You do have to have the communication. You do have to have the understanding, the patience, and most of all, you have to have honesty.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't, that honesty is really just lacking in a lot of relationships. You have to be honest.
I would have to say seeking God to find out what your predestined life journey is. Because on that life journey, God has placed everything there. Your husband, the type of money you're supposed to make, where you're supposed to live. And when you get on that path, you're going to receive the person that is for you, and everything that comes along with it. It's going to be the good, the bad, whatever. You'll be equipped to handle it. Exactly. And it won't be so dreading to you. So I would say find your work. Find out what it is that God has commissioned you to do, and everything else will show up.
And of course, I would say God first. There is no perfect person, so you have to find the person that's right for you and that you're right for.
2 scriptures and just experience. Lean not on your own understanding, and love is patient and love is kind. And the opinions of someone else should not matter whether you should be in or out of a relationship.
I love that. I love that. That's excellent. And I just want to leave you with this final message. Love yourself first, because you were created by God. So if you don't love yourself, how can you love someone else? You heard the term eros love. You heard the term agape love. And if you haven't heard it, look it up. Because it's critical to having a successful relationship. I thank my panel. I thank you for joining us for this episode of Living by Design. And we'll see you next week.